So the first step in this process, and if you'll notice the image really is an infinite sort of ongoing process, but it's to acquire the data. We sometimes don't recognize this as a big step, but getting control of that data wherever it's being generated, an MRI system, obviously. Ingesting that data is the first and most crucial step. You cannot begin to use, leverage, or transform data unless you have control over it. And so people don't necessarily recognize that, and what happens in data centers today is control is siloed. One would argue it's not really control. It's in different databases, different applications, different feeds of information, social media, web-based information, separate applications. That separation of data means I don't have control and I can't begin to do some of the things we do up here. So for us, it's key to make sure we mobilize that data, which is making it available and useful for us. Of course, governing that data, I'll come back to, which means I know who's seen the data, who has access to the data. I know that it hasn't changed, and I can guarantee that in a court of law according to certainly any industry, financial services, medical industries, etc. So governance of that data is a central part. These are steps that are established once I have control. We then begin to enrich data, adding more information. Back to the image of the melanoma. What I'm adding is the fact that it is melanoma. So think about this for a moment. It is the image that matters. It's that which I must preserve. But I need to augment that with it was taken with this resolution by this physician at this time in this location. Maybe I add patient characteristics, female, age, etc. That is all information about the image. That's enrichment. Why do I do that? Because it's much more valuable. It's not just a picture of melanoma. Now I know it for all of the information that it can provide. And then I continue to refine that by using it to compare, meaning an image, against multiple other examples. That refinement is where we begin that process of data analytics. And if you notice, of course, this is all centered around analyzing the data, and for many corporations, monetizing the data, making it useful. Data has value when it has become monetized for many organizations. And then I'll point to the final part, disposal of the data. Disposition of the data is becoming a global concern. EMEA has moved forward in many different areas, the EU in particular, speaking about the right to be forgotten. If there are certain pieces of personal information that have been captured about somebody, how do you know they've been disposed? How do you guarantee they've been disposed? Organizations that will adhere to EU law must guarantee the disposition of data. So this is a life cycle of data, of every piece of information. If you want to transform an organization, you sort of need to step up to be able to achieve these objectives. And of course, what I'm going to lead to a bit is a technology that helps provide for that. And then an example in an organization that can realize these kinds of savings.